Every week on the BPA King of Bowling, we have a high woman qualifier, and this week, 26-year-old lab technician from Goshen, Ohio, Liz Bowdy-Folk. And Liz, you have to be on top of your game with the 660 series last week.
Oh, I had a lot of good timing, and I was really concentrating, and everything just was great.
A lot of people who aren't familiar, what's the competition like on the women's side, since we only really see the guys in the BPA King of Bowling?
It's pretty tough. There are a lot of good ladies that bowl, and you never know what'll be high.
Okay, final question here, though. How long is it going to be before we see a woman competing head-to-head in the top 3 on the King of Bowling?
Well, I've always wanted to be on the King of Bowling, so I hope it's soon. I'd really like to see one of the ladies from Cincinnati be on the show.
Well, Liz, here's a $200 start as the Queen of Bowling for week number 5. Thank you very much. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Tom, way to go. Way to go. I tell you what, he just flocks down there to interview those good-looking girls.
Well, Sam turned it over to me. He said he can't take all the glory. Rick Pollard, game number 2 here, Dave.
The women are tough. I'd like to take just a minute to try to encourage more women to come out. They have their own division. I don't know if we've completely explained this, but they can cash in their own division, and over and above the $200 first place check, there are other positions that are paid. So ladies, come on out for the qualifier. It's a lot of fun, and you got a chance of making some extra money, even if it's not the big $200 check.
And I have a feeling one of these days, in the not-too-distant future, we're going to see a lady here in the top 3 on the BPA King, and then we'll have to call it King/Queen of Bowling.
Well, we've got the talent in this city. We have some fine, fine women bowlers, and well, you can tell by the scores they're throwing, Tom, but we've yet to have one make it on a straight-up score basis, haven't we, Sam?
No, not yet.
Okay.
We've been close.
You're watching the 36-year-old barber from Florence, Kentucky, Rick Hensley, as he leaves the 7-pin. We saw Rick a couple weeks ago against Kenny Lynch. That was back in week 2 at Stones Lanes. He lost to Lynch 225 to 206, but it was no fault of Hensley. Lynch was really on top of his game that day.
Well, what you're seeing in the first frame is what you will see out of Rick Hensley day after day, week after week. He will hit the pocket, and he will hit it with some authority most of the time. But very rarely does Rick Hensley throw an errant shot.
So, a couple of Ricks, a couple of spares, first frame.
Right. So far, we're averaging 212 on the tube for 24 games. Ain't bad.
And the man that the winner of this match will meet, Ray Tucky Perez, in five games this year on the BPA is averaging 212 also, keeping up that average, but that going along with a 140 game against that Kenny Lynch in week 2. We will never let Tucky Perez live that 140 game down.
That's right. A little more loft, delayed the roll. Actually a much better shot, Tom, but the 6-pin there was just, or the 4-pin went up and around the 7-pin, leaving the simple spare, but again, that was a good shot. Should have carried. There's that little rascal, a 7.
This is game 2 here in week 5, the BPA King of Bowling. We'd like to remind you we are in Lawrenceburg, Indiana, at Durbin Bowl. Next week, heading over to the Pin House on Vine Street in the Queen City of Cincinnati as Rick Hensley takes out the 7 in the second frame, making way for Rick Pollard, victorious in game 1.
We had the Autumn Classic out here this fall, and the winner was Kevin Johnson, shot 226 to Bill Heflin's 216, and Kevin got 2,000, and Bill got 1,000 for second.
Which we saw Bill Heflin last week lose to Wayne Sherman. Heflin converting that 5 pence there as Pollard has the menthol on the ball, Dave.
He's got the go power on it, I'll tell you.
When he cranks it up, look out. Pins are going to fly somewhere, most of the time 10 in the pit. Rick Pollard is in control of his game right now. He is going to be hitting the pocket, and he is throwing the ball very nice.
A little pin action.
A little pin action, but a little wide. Normally playing in the area of about the 13th forward, Tom. That ball got out to the 9th forward and just did not have the ability to make it back.
Hence the 2-4 spare possibility here in the third frame for Rick Pollard.
The only way he'd miss that if he fell down.
Then let's take a look at the score.
Boy, in the second, Rick Pollard's got 40 with his spare, and Rick Hensley's on 19 in his spare, so they got to go to work early. Get some X's. Hensley's a good pocket shooter, I'll tell you. He's been our king twice overall. He's a bowling barber. You ought to be able to clip him.
6 300 games, a couple of 299 games. Rick Hensley.
Look at that.
And a little action. Delayed action, albeit.
That little bit of slop got him a 1-pin advantage. Hit the other two flush, I guess, Sam.
That's right. He's got an 846, too, you know, for 3 games. Over Super Bowl, he bowled that.
Week after week, you know, we see the top people on the show. However, there are hundreds of people that bowl during the qualifiers on Saturday and Sunday in each BPA establishment. The thing that makes those qualifiers work are some people that we are going to thank here in just a moment.
Rick Hensley, 4th frame, game 2 here. Ooh, not much pinfall at all.
Cutting through, right through the heart of the pins, leaving the 4, 6, 7, 8, 10. A very, very difficult spare. Not only that, you're losing pin count regardless of what happens on the second ball unless you cut her down. Rick Hensley is going to take 3 of these pins. He's going for it.
Well, he got 3 of the 5 that were still up.
Well, with those names right now, Ray Fox, he's been working the tournament this year, does a fine job. Donna Ninadove, Kathy Brocksterman, Michelle Brown, she is Bo's secretary, and when I say Bo, I don't mean Bo Burton, but our own Bo Hudy, the executive director of the BPA, does a fine job. All of
Woman
it. Thank
by
you.
which we could not get along without. And there's the 10-pin at attention on the right lane.
In the pocket. Once more, I think we can assume he's going to be there the rest of the day.
He's slowly cutting the hook down all the time, David and Tom.
With authority. With authority. So 4 up and 4 down. Rick Pollard with a lead here as Rick Hensley did not improve his chances of winning this by leaving an open frame in the 4th.
No, you just don't give that kind of an opening to Rick Pollard. The only kind of opening you give to Rick Pollard is when you open the refrigerator and pull out a few of those golden Hudipoles.
Ice cold on these warm spring-like days here in Cincinnati, the greater Cincinnati area. So, as we go to a break, we leave with a Rick Pollard strike going into the bottom of the 5th. Rick Pollard and Rick Hensley in Game 2 of Week 5 of the BPA King of Bowling right here on Cincinnati Style, Channel 5. Today with Ray Tucky Perez. The BPA King of Bowling here in Week 5 in Lawrenceburg, Indiana. Rick Pollard working on a strike against the barber from Florence, Rick Hensley, the finely tailored barber from Florence, Rick Hensley. And that's who's up here, bottom of the 5th. Bottom of the 5th, it sounds like baseball, and that's where the Reds are down in Tampa.
Crossing over. Boy, you very rarely see that out of Rick Hensley, Tom. Complete breakdown of concentration, little commercial break there, and he just went to the Bahamas.
The only southpaw we've seen today and expect to see today with Ray Tucky Perez up next. On deck, I love talking those baseball terms. 60-degree weather, 70-degree weather like we had yesterday. Oil the glove up. Pretty soon the Reds will be in Riverfront. And Mr. Hensley has the work at hand right now. In the 5th frame, a spare.
Even though the weather gets warm and sundry, Sam, what do we still do? We still throw some bowling balls
Boy,
around.
certainly.
Huh?
Oh,
Run
sure.
a nice spring leg. Keep
Spring
practice and get ready for this.
Summer leagues,
Yeah, summer leagues.
That's the great part about bowling. It's 12 months of the year.
Year-round sport, and the cooler's always full of Hudy.
Oh, yeah.
Do your duty, get a Hudy?
Well, that sounds all right.
That's right.
Rick Hensley, you want to get back in the match, you better throw some strikes right now. Oh, tough break. Tough break. 4-pin going around the 7. Once more, not taking it out for a strike, leaving a fairly easy spare, Tom.
If we do happen to see Rick Pollard and Ray Perez up next, it'll be an interesting match since they both usually compete as a team, don't they? When they go out and bowl.
Revs, and more revs.
Hey, Sam, what do you think?
Oh, Rick's got 84 in the 5th with a spare up, and Rick Pollard got 79 in a strike. And the way he's going to throw him here on, he's going to take off.
Could potentially stretch the lead to 25 pins, but not to be. 4-7. Lucky he broke down the split, Sam.
You ain't a kidding there. The owner here is Bill Seibel, and his assistant's Pat Gray. Laura Nels is the president of the Bowling Association. She's a league coordinator here.
Rick Pollard. 6th frame. I'll tell you one thing. In 5 weeks here on the BPA Tour, there's no loss of excitement. Every game has been close, except one.
Do you have to keep mentioning that? Rick Tucky's going to do something to you, I'll tell you.
That's what makes them a better bowler, you see? They always remember, it's a humbling experience to have a game like that.
He went 240, 140, 250.
and the great part is he's averaging 212 Rick Pollard.
What a can opener that ball was. Was it strong? Was it flush? You bet. It's everything. It just tore that rack in half.
Doesn't give them a chance.
Well, Rick Hensley's got to go to work right here if he's going to win.
Right now we're looking at a 15-pin advantage for Mr. Pollard. Rick Hensley can cut into that lead right now if he starts to strike.
7th frame. No sooner said than done.
Don't count him out.
No.
It's 119 and 104, and they're both on X's.
One more strike, cut the lead to 5 pins.
We got Tucky off on the left, so they're warming up. He's getting ready.
Has to be tough. A lot of anxiety building up when you have to watch games and just sit there and not really be able to do anything about it, Dave.
Well, it is, and it's good that there's a warm-up player to kind of keep loose on. Tucky's taking full advantage of it. Going through high. Rick having a little speed problem, leaving the 6-10.
It's quite a loft on his ball.
He pitches it out there, I'll tell you.
That's typically his style of game, Tom. There's a lot of bowlers that lay it down so smooth you don't even hear it. Rick has always lofted the ball, not to an excessive degree. That's just his game. Obviously, the proprietors don't want to see you tossing them down the arrows, but or messing around. But that's part of his game.
Seems to have worked thus far.
All
Dan,
right.
you want to run it down there?
Rick Hensley's got 124 and a spare in the 7th, and Rick Pollard's got 119 working on a strike.
Could potentially build his lead to 25 pins. Oh, so close, but yet so far away.
He had it in the area, David. I'll say that. And Tom, there's Father Bill there. They got Regina Pollard, Rick Pollard, Ron Pollard, and Billy Pollard.
It's no wonder we can't remember the right name.
And Uncle Otto Pollard's here too. Uncle Otto.
The fabulous 4-pin for Mr. Rick Pollard in the 8th frame. Nothing but strikes and pairs. Spares. Pairs. A pair of
Pairs
spares.
of spares.
Oh.
You want plenty to do? We've got plenty to do right here at Durbin Bowl. Have a good time. Go bowling. It is a lot of fun, whether it's warm out or cold out. Your local BPA Fun Center has lanes for you.
And once again, the not too kind 4-pin.
All he has to do is continue filling frames here if Rick Hensley doesn't strike. However, Rick Hensley is not out of here yet. With a cover here, Rick Hensley can strike out to still win this match.
Rick Pollard knocks off the 4 to pick up the spare in the 9th. Now, the ball is in Hensley's court there, Sam.
Yeah, 158 for Rick Pollard in the 8th with a spare, and Rick's on 120. Rick Hensley 124 and a spare. His potential's 204, and Rick Pollard can get 208.
Talk about a critical, pivotal frame. This is it. Rick Hensley, if he wants any shot to win, has got to have this strike.
Well, I think that just about sealed Mr. Hensley's fate.
Turn out the lights, this party's over.
Really?
You can put this one in the... You put this one in the books, Sam.
We'll put it in the books. Just don't sing anymore, okay, Dave? Rick Hensley. Well, Rick Hensley, a loser back in week 2 to Kenny Lynch, and it appears to be a loser here in week 5 to Rick Pollard. So an open 9th for Mr. Hensley. So that open in the 9th frame pretty much sealed Rick Hensley's fate, as a spare and a strike led to only a 171, and Rick Pollard wins this one with a strike and a spare to go out at 198 and go on to the championship match against Ray Tucky Perez in week number 5 of the BPA King of Bowling right here on Channel 5.